The beauty of horror games. Hey guys, how's it going? Dude here. I'm back with another video. I'm here with Lozz, and I thought we'd have a discussion today about something very close to my heart, something that is very important, almost the foundation of this YouTube channel. The reason why I'm here on YouTube is horror games, right? And obviously horror games have an intrinsic link to true crime and to, you know, the horror paranormal genre that I find myself. So I thought we'd just have an open discussion essentially about our favourite horror games. But the thing that I want to start with, for all of the horror fans out there, horror gaming fans, do let me know down in the comments. What do you think, in your opinion, Lozz, is the most important thing that contributes towards a great horror game?
I think the thing that I personally look for in horror games is atmosphere and sound design along with music. Because the way I think about it is The Last of Us.
Yes,
if you imagine the clickers.
Yeah,
without that sound,
yeah,
they don't feel as like
they're just another
ominous
zombie,
yeah,
with mushrooms in their head. What I thought about survivability, in the sense that I don't want an abundance of ammunition if there is a gun, right? I want to feel vulnerable within a horror game, because I think that just adds so much to the stakes. I think it adds so much to the experience of the game. And I'll give you one example which does it horrifically. I've tried to play a few times, I even streamed it, was Resident Evil 6.
Right.
Resident Evil 6 is probably the worst horror game I've ever played in my life, and it's weird because it's like a shoot 'em up, right? Which I guess is what they were going for, but just the fact that, you know, you have the beauty of Resident Evil 1, where, you know, if you found 6 bullets for your pistol, oh my god, it was like, what a revelation, this is absolutely amazing. You go to Resident Evil 6 and every other zombie, every other crate, if not every crate, every shelf, there's just ammo, and you never even get close to being low on ammo. Right, and the thing is, you know, once you get low on ammo in these kind of games, if you have like a knife, which if you're fighting zombies, you don't want to get up close and personal. You want to keep your distance because these things are fucking scary, right? And the fact that, you know, you have to think, I have 4 bullets in my gun, so I'd better aim for the head, and you're trying harder so that you can utilize critical points and things like that. Otherwise, you have to resort to your knife, which means getting up close, which means getting attacked, which means, you know, it's just a scarier experience. I just think that adds so much. One of the games I'll discuss later, Outlast, that I love so much, is all you can do is run and hide. That's all you can do. You have no power over any of the enemies or anything like that. And I think that feeling of powerlessness, or certainly limited power, i.e., you know, limited bullets, I think goes a long way in a horror. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, well, that's a survival horror game, and they yes, I guess you're right, and but that is my favourite kind of subgenre of the horror genre in itself. But I completely agree with sound design and stuff. The one thing I would say, I hate cheap jump scares, which obviously sound design can be utilised. You know, you open a door and there's a loud scream or whatever for no reason, then I feel like that
just to cause you to fucking jump.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I feel the same about horror films. You know, I feel like that's a massive overused trope, that it's just, there'll be like a door opens and a little girl will run through, but it's like, and it's like, but the little girl clearly did not make, that's just post sound been added for the sake of scaring you.
A lot of the time that's used if the film's going fucking nowhere. And it's like, we need to get a reaction out of the audience to this part. Let's put a jump scare in.
And I just, man, one of my favourite horror films of all time is Hereditary, because there are no jump scares. It's all wide shots. What's in the corner of your eye? What's in your peripheral? Is that a ghost? Isn't that a ghost? Did I just see that? It plays on the fact of, you know, you're in bed at night alone in the dark and you think you can see something in the corner of your eye, and you're too terrified to look because you don't want it to actually be real, but you got this internal dark. That to me is true fear, and that is true horror. And if you can recreate that in a video game or, you know, in a movie, then they are the winners for me personally. So that yeah, I agree with sound design and stuff, survivability. So let's talk about the actual games themselves. What horror games immediately? If I said to you, one horror game, go. What screams out to you?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Alien, the film.
Yeah.
And the one that immediately jumps to me is Alien Isolation, because it has both the sound design element that I'm talking about and also this like sparsity or rarity of ammunition and weapons. You like kind of like Outlast. If you come up against the alien, literally the only thing you can do is run and hide.
Yeah.
Or very later in the game, you get to use a flamethrower, but it still doesn't kill him or kill it.
Just
It deters it for a while, and then you still have to have enough, like, what I guess fuel that you put into a flamethrower. You still have to have that, and that's really rare as well to find, especially on the higher difficulties.
Yeah,
it does create. I think the best thing about that game is the amount of tension that it builds up, and then the payoff.
Yeah,
a lot of games do where they just force tension and suspense down your throat, and then there's no payoff.
Yeah.
They just do something like you say, like a jump scare or something to get you like, oh, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Like that. But yeah, that's a great game. I'd definitely recommend it if you're a fan of, like, I guess, sci-fi and horror, because that's...
Well, the thing for me with that game, and I must admit I am guilty of not completing it, and I don't know why, because every time I played it I've absolutely loved it. You're saying attention to detail, but the attention to detail in recreating like that 80s sci-fi feel, like in the opening moments of the game where you're going through one of the ships, it's literally like a carbon copy of the intro of the Alien film from I think 1979, and it just feels like you are in that universe, which is absolutely amazing. And yeah, the feeling of just you are against this absolute universal apex predator, and you are just nowhere near an apex predator.
No.
It's just, yeah, mate, that is an absolutely huge shout. And I don't know why I've never completed it. I really don't. And also, it gives me, which is a game I was going to bring up, obviously being in space and stuff, it does give me Dead Space vibes, which, I mean, Dead Space, I guess you could accuse of falling a little bit guilty of what I was saying about maybe an abundance of ammunition. I feel like it's not crazy amounts, but you're certainly more fleshed out with ammo than perhaps necessary, considering the melee capabilities and stuff. But the atmosphere in that game, I'll never forget. I don't know what, I was maybe in year 8 or year 9. I had a friend at school sleep over, and my mum went out the next morning, and he was like, "We have to play this game on max volume." I had surround sound downstairs. And he was like, "Let's play it on thingy." And it was crazy because we went downstairs, set it up on the downstairs TV, turned on the surround sound, cranked the surround sound up to maximum. And what we realised was, right, obviously the jump scares were absolutely horrific, these necromorph things jumping out and everywhere. But when you have it really, really loud, I had never picked up on the fact that there's like all like distorted whispers and shit. All in the background, like this background ambience that is actually like dead people whispers, and it was just absolutely horrific. And I just love little details like that.
Yeah.
And Dead Space actually ties into this channel because I think it was the second or third game ever played on this channel was Dead Space 2. Hello and welcome to Duty Rhino Plays Dead Space 2. A very scary game. I've been wanting to play it for a long time now. Really looking forward to this.
Damn right. Geordie, do you want to tell us a bit about Dead Space 2, my friend?
Which I think we played like 2 episodes of. But yeah, no, Dead Space is another one which is amazing. Bringing it back to Earth, I would say, like you've mentioned, Last of Us. One of the elements that I forgot to mention about what I love, or what is important to me in a horror game, is it being a really well-written, story-driven game.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us, for me, it's just one of the top story-driven campaign games. I remember playing through when it first released on PS3, and I didn't want to rush it, so I played a chapter a day, and when the chapter ended, I turned it off. And I didn't want to, but I wanted to draw out this experience, and it was just incredible. absolutely incredible. But you know, that the terror of the clickers and stuff was just. Oh man! But obviously, you know, the relationship between Joel and Ellie and how that matures over the course of the campaign, which is why I only played an hour of Last of Us 2, because when Joel died, bearing in mind this is a man that I was going to get tattooed on my body as one of the greatest video game heroes I've ever seen. When he was snuffed out. If they fucking kill Joel, I'm going to be fucking livid. Oh my god. Oh my. What have they done? What have they done?
Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No!
They just killed the best character 2 hours into a 30-hour gameplay. Mate. That's it. Last of Us 2. I don't know how it ends. I don't know. Past when Joel died, because if you're going to kill my boy off like that, you're dead to me.
The thing is that like the first game was pretty much as close as you get, like 10 out of 10. Like
perfection.
Everywhere.
Leave it alone. Like, I wanted. When they announced that there was going to be a sequel, I was gutted.
Yeah.
Because just stop. You've done it. I understand it made a lot of money for Naughty Dog, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's perfect. You know, the ending is kind of ambiguous. It's just stop. Just leave it.
Like good ambiguous though.
Yes, yeah.
Because there are endings where you're like, why would you leave it like that? But there are endings like that. You're like, I understand why you left it like that.
100%, and then.
But the problem is that it gave them like an in to do another one because it was ambiguous.
Yeah.
But and
then you did that.
Joel didn't deserve to go like
that. That's what I mean. Just fucking. Oh, do you know I'd have genuinely preferred he died between games?
By the way, that character you loved, he's not in this game because he died. That's it. We're not going to give you any context how he died. He just died.
And it's too traumatic for Ellie to even talk about it, so you never even find out.
Yeah.
I would honestly prefer that.
I would prefer if they just replace it with a guy called, I don't know, Jim.
Yeah. Remember Jim? He was like one of the back. You know at the start of Last of Us 1 where everything's going to shit?
Yeah.
They like just do a flashback and it turns out he's like in the next door building and he just like fucking has his own story. But yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, like Last of Us story, amazing. Atmosphere, amazing. The whole, you know, the Earth, although there's obviously this virus, this disease, the Earth is like taking back the cities and stuff, you know. It's like Chernobyl, you know. You look at Chernobyl, obviously absolutely devastating radiation and stuff, but nature is reclaiming that land, and to see that, there's obviously that incredible moment, spoilers, although it's not really, where they're going through that building and then just a fucking giraffe walks past. It's because I think it escaped from the zoo down the road or some shit. But yeah, man, Last of Us, that was special. And still to me, for story mode, man, I just can't. You know, I played some amazing games with some pretty cool stories, you know, Outlast 2, Outlast Whistleblower, you know, Resident Evil 7, I thoroughly enjoyed, Resident Evil 8, I thoroughly enjoyed, Amnesia, of course.
Yeah.
There is a slight trap that certain games fall into more heavily than others, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but with, say, Amnesia and Outlast, a lot of the story is actually told in little pieces of paper that you pick up, which isn't a problem. Like, it's great for those people, those 100% completionists, or those that, you know, want to find every little extra little tidbit. But when you are using that as a vehicle to really tell your story, like, I might not have been paying attention, and there is a full Outlast, full Whistleblower, and full Outlast 2 run on this channel. You type in Doody Rhino Outlast, you'll find the full game. I did it back in like 2015. It's one of the favourite things I've ever done on this channel, to be honest. I had no idea that Outlast was about MK Ultra.
I didn't even fucking know it was either. I haven't played all the way through. I've just seen you play it. Yeah, and I've played little bits here and there.
Mate, I played it through twice, and it's because like all these details are in the notes. Like, and you might say, well, of course it is. Well, you're not paying attention, blah blah blah. But I thought I was, but because I was like, you know, filming it and stuff, I didn't want to take too much time on all the notes, which, you know, I guess, you know, slap on the wrist for me. But I think I like when it enriches the story.
Yeah.
But if it is the sole driver to tell the story, I think that's a slight which I think a lot of horror games kind of do. That's my only like little gripe, I guess. But I tell you what I do really enjoy, which I'm actually playing right now, VR horror experiences are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you can close your eyes, but you can't like look away. You look away, you're just looking, down the other end of the corridor. And I'm currently playing through Resident Evil 4 on VR, which... yeah.
I mean, that's a classic.
That's an amazing game. An amazing game. Does definitely fall into the abundance of ammo, as I'm discovering. But, hey, they literally rebuilt that game from the ground up to utilise the VR. And because I played it on Wii, which in itself, being able to, like, aim the gun and stuff, that was so cool. But to literally, like... doing the VR experience on the Oculus is literally dropping you into that world. Like, all of a sudden, it's now 3D.
Yeah.
Like, I would love if they just, like, remade fucking Pokemon blue, red, yellow, gold, silver, crystal or something, and you're literally 3D, VR plonked into that world.
That would be
but
cool.
obviously, any indie developer that even attempts that will be lacerated and castrated by Nintendo before it even reaches Steam. But, yeah, like, the whole 3D thing, I think, is really cool in the horror space. And, it just kind of adds... and it's something that I really want to look into on how to stream and stuff. Because I just think that would be quite cool,
Yeah, VR is kind of like the next, I guess... it's been around for quite a while, but it's like the next kind of element you can add into the game, reworking it so you're actually there.
Yeah.
Playing as the character, sort of managing your weapons physically instead of pressing buttons for it. But that's like the next evolution in games. You're just going to see, for me, I feel like this is the biggest thing they can utilise now.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you're going to be there and incorporate good storyline, good sound design.
Yeah.
And like good mechanics and like rarity of weapons and ammo and all that sort of stuff, and then you've got an actual really good base for a game.
Yeah,
that you can put into a horror setting.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree. Like, there were some Resident Evil 7 like horror experience puzzles.
Yeah,
some of the most terrifying gaming experiences of my life. Like, it was so, oh man, just being dropped into that Resident Evil 7 house was very grim, And if they, oh my goodness, if they gave the Resident Evil 1, mansion, the Resident Evil 4 treatment, cause obviously, but for me, there's nostalgia attached to these things, which obviously, does add things. But yeah, I just think, I think the future of horror gaming is very bright. And I just wanted to do this video because it's just something that I really enjoy, and I just wanted to make some content centered around something that I'm really passionate about. Don't get me wrong, I'm passionate about true crime and the paranormal, but I speak about that week in, week out. So it's nice to freshen it up sometimes. And I hope that you enjoyed this content. If you did, let us know. What is your favourite horror game down below? What is a big thing that contributes towards what makes horror games? If that, everything that we've been discussing here today. Lozzy, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I hope you appreciate it at home too. I'll see you very soon. Like, subscribe, and share. Sweet one, geese. Nearly forgot my outro. Bye.